Hello, all you lovelies. It's Lisa Jane here, and yes, I haven't been on YouTube for a couple of weeks. I have been quite busy with a whole lot of things, and if I look a little bit tired today, it's because it was my twin boys' matric dance. And for those of you who don't live in South Africa, matric is the grade 12, it's the final year of school, and then they have this celebration where everyone dresses up very fancily and grabs a beautiful partner, and off they go and have a fantastic evening with their teachers and their peers. So I was up most of the night just waiting until I heard that my boys were safely back home, and they had a great time. So this is Sunday afternoon, the 10th of March, and without going into too much blurb about where I am and what I'm doing in my life, I thought I would bring you something today that I've been thinking of the last couple of days, and it's along the lines of spirituality. I have posted one or two videos on that topic before, but what I wanted to cover today is around the concept of ascension, which those of you in the so-called spiritual circles may have heard of, in terms of basically the human being's evolution towards a more conscious, a spiritual way of living. And there is a understanding that ascension is the next level up in terms of human evolution and a greater consciousness. So that is going to be my overall topic. I'm actually going to look at the fact that we need to descend in order to ascend. So I've got a little blurb summarizing what it is that I'm going to talk about underneath the video. If you just want to read that, that's fine. But if you're happy to sit with me for the next 10-12 minutes, then I'll just give you my thoughts around it. You will know, a lot of you that have watched some of my videos before, that I like to keep them short and sweet. A lot of us have quite busy lives, myself included, running a family as well as running my work and everything else in between. And so I really want to make sure that what I present to you is as clear and concise as possible, and is something that hopefully you will find some value with. And some, it can generate some thought-provoking ideas perhaps in your own mind in terms of where you're going. What I do want to kind of mention right up front, though, is that please note that I am no guru. I'm just a person who works in this field. I am a healer and teacher, and I have the ability to read energy. And so I use that together with other clairsentient and clairaudient skills to just bring in information during my healing or teaching. And I'm always guided by the highest good for all. I only work with creator source energy, and I try and always set the best intention to be as clear a channel or a voice as I can on these topics. But I am no guru, and what I'd really like is just to present you with the information, and then you can go away, think about it, and make your own mind up. If you like what I talk about, great. If you don't, then that's also cool. So, on to the topic. We need to descend in order to ascend. Okay, so what does that really mean? There's a lot of people waking up to an aspiration to become more spiritual, to understand themselves better. However, in that waking up, there is a lot of ideas or conceptualizations around the subject of spirituality, what it means to be spiritual, what activities you need to do to become spiritual, and that can kind of lead you up a garden path of trying to find something that either is taking too long, or that you start judging yourself and thinking, well, am I actually spiritual enough? Am I doing all of the right things? And actually becoming more spiritual is not about that at all. It doesn't mean that you have to become a more holy, a more saintly person. It is my belief that in order to ascend, in other words, in order to connect with your highest self, in order to find a greater alignment or connection to source, and with the word source, I'm talking about God, creator source energy, the universal field, whatever it is that you want to give the label to, of that pulsing, energetic, creator energy that really is just from where we all come and to where we all go again when we leave this physical incarnation. So creator source energy then is where we can connect into the highest form of love, light, healing, guidance. It's the most purest form of wisdom and obviously holds the highest frequency. So when we're talking about ascension, obviously what we're trying to do is we're ascending into a higher way of being by being more in alignment with our higher self and the version of truth that is aligned to that, as well as being aligned to source energy and in that vortex, in that place of connection. So for me, a lot of people are trying, perhaps too hard sometimes, to connect up, to really put themselves out there spiritually. And there are a multitude of ways in that people are trying to do this. Some of them are using psychedelics, and while I am in no ways am I judging this, I don't do psychedelics. I don't actually recommend my clients do it, or rather I don't not necessarily recommend, I don't normally refer them to do it, because my sense is that in some areas it can provide a false sense of what that multidimensional field is out there. When you're taking a herb or a medicine like that, it really does, or it makes a lot of difference as to which energetic framework you're taking it in. So in other words, where you are, which location, what is the energy frequency of the person giving you the medicine, and the experiences you have are still very much related to how your brain is wired. So if you might be stepping into this for the first time, you might have a very, very different experience to someone who's done it a number of times, and it might be quite scary. So there is some hype around the fact that taking ayahuasca or something else will take you to a place where you can become more spiritual or more self-aware. For me, that is not part of my belief, but again, I'm not judging anyone who goes and tries it. In the same way that mushrooms and ibogaine and all of those other journeys. I myself liked to spend time in quiet solitude, just breathing. You can call it meditating. I call it self-awareness. I also do that walking in the forest, quietly by myself and just tuning into myself. So the fact that we are ascending or trying to connect doesn't necessarily mean that we have to be moving to the space outside of ourselves, where we're using something that takes us outside of ourselves, where we start seeing visuals and that perhaps are not an immediate part of our day-to-day experience. I'm not saying either that multidimensional fields don't exist. Of course they do, and that's what I work with on a daily basis. But what I really feel strongly about is that our move to spirituality is more a descension. It's a bringing in of a greater form of ourselves, our highest consciousness, into the physical body, into our emotional body, and into our mental body, and into the incarnation that we are presently experiencing on this planet. So actually it's not about all those fabulous experiences, and whilst we might go there, it's actually quite mundanely practical to start descending, because descending means that we actually spend more time being self-aware, and that we actually look at committing part of our day and each day to being more self-aware, to being more curious, and to looking at those aspects of ourselves, physical, mental, emotional, that may be sitting on a lower vibrational level, as well as looking at our thoughts and the way we act and the way we treat people. So it really is a holistic way of bringing in our highest form of wisdom, spending time in a deeper state of self-awareness so that we can pull in, we can descend our highest vibration into our physical body so that we can act from that place. And this is a process. It doesn't happen overnight. And what may happen if you have an experience out of body or psychedelic or on a journey is that there might be a false expectation that is created, or actually even a sense of disillusionment when you get back to actually, oh gosh, it's work tomorrow, I need to pick up the kids, I need to get food, and then you're all of a sudden back into the practicality of real life. And actually that is where we need to be. We as humans need to become more human, right? That means not judging ourselves for not being perfect, and it means not aspiring to being saintly or holy, or being a yogi or a white-dressed vegan eating, chanting person sitting on top of a hill. Those are all beautiful things. But in the day and age we find ourselves, Spirit, Universe, God, Source is asking very strongly for each of us to spend that time to become more self-aware, to be more conscious of every part of our days, of every word we speak, of every thought we think. And whilst this may seem an impossible task, it isn't if we start day by day, step by step. So our ascension into a higher way of being, into being more spiritual as a person, as a community, as a planet, is actually a descending into our human nature. And as I mentioned perhaps in one of my talks, or at least those people who attend my silent meditation walks know, is that this year feels about coming back to nature. Using nature, yes, to become more self-aware, more conscious, become more connected, but also returning to our basic human nature that is connected to ourselves, connected to each other, connected to Source. Because it's my fundamental belief that if you haven't connected to your heart center, if you haven't really begun to inquire within, to do the reflection, that you will not be able to then connect out and upwards. You need to connect within. Everything happens within first. And while it may seem like it's going to be an impossible task, and I think I've said that once already, so that word's come in a couple of times, so maybe you're thinking that, it isn't really. If we go gently and we just go step by step and day by day, it's a process. It's a process of learning more about yourself. So I'm not checking my notes because I did write notes on this. I think I've probably covered most of what I wanted to do or say, and keep this video fairly short and sweet. Spirituality is a meeting of oneself. Spirituality is first and foremost a self-awareness that is done in moments of silence and solitude, because if we're stressed and busy, I can guarantee you're not going to connect to your highest form of wisdom, and you're not going to be able to ever become psychic, or whatever you want to call it, connected to our higher self, because we need that quiet space. We need to be in a calm, relaxed space in order to receive that information. So in order to ascend, we need to descend first. That is all I'm going to chat about today. I think I've covered everything. I thank you so much for listening. If you like my videos, please subscribe. Please share them if you feel they're valuable to you. And please, please, please put some comments down below, because they help, and they help me understand whether my videos are actually reaching anybody and making sense to people. And yep, I can hear it gently raining outside. I'm off to go make myself a cup of tea. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening. I'll certainly be getting to bed early because of my late night stay awake. But I really wish you all the utmost of love and blessings. And it was great connecting with you all again. And I promise not to leave it so late to post another one. With many love and blessings, Lisa.